My name is Abdiaziz. We will continue the lessons we had, the online classes we had. Previously, we introduced the book A Doll's House, where we talked about the author of the book, his brief history. We talked about the title of the text. We talked about the genre the book can be able to be classified under. We also discussed about the title of the text briefly. We also had a brief summary of Act 1 and what happened in Act 1. And at last, we were having a discussion of Nora and Linde having a discussion of the troubles and the problems they have been going through, of Nora borrowing the loan. Now, in Act 2, we will continue. In Act 2, the Christmas Eve celebration has taken place. The Christmas tree that was decorated in Act 1 has now withered. Later, when we'll be discussing the stylistic devices, we'll be able to understand that this is actually a symbolic. As the tree withers, and so does the happy and the joyful nature of Nora also goes away. Nora, we will see her pacing within the room uneasily. And this is as a result of the loan that she has borrowed some times back to cure her husband. And she has been hiding this secret for a very long time. And now there is nearing of pressure of Krogstad trying to blackmail her, and there is a situation of her husband getting to know this information very soon, and that's why she is so much uneasy. Now, the nanny, who happens to be the maid, she comes in with her costumes. Now, there is a tarantella dance that she needs to practice for tomorrow's event, and as a result of that, she's preparing for that, and these costumes are meant for that. Nora now asks, when nanny comes, what will happen to the kids? She says, we talked about her kids in the previous lesson when we were discussing about the characters. We have Iva, Bob, and Amy. Those three kids. She asks Nanny what happens to the kids if she disappeared altogether, because she's contemplating that once this particular secret goes out to her husband, she will not be able to have the guts to stay in this home because the society is against that. Her husband is not going to condone her. He's not going to forgive her. So all those kind of things. Of importance to actually inform at this stage is that the same nanny who is taking care of her kids is the nanny who took care of Nora when she was young. So that's why she trusts her so much, and she even has the guts to trust her own kids with the nanny. Now, Miss Linde enters, and she agrees to mend with the costumes because they had issues. Now, Nora tells Miss Linde about Dr. Rank's sickness. Previously, we said Dr. Rank is a family friend. He is a regular visitor and visits every day this particular family, and he is a very close friend. Because he has no family, and he comes frequently. He is a friend to this family. This guy suffers from what you call tuberculosis of the spine. They say his father had issues in terms of morality, and the problem his father had is the problem that was transferred to him. And we'll be able to learn across the play that the parents' problems, issues of morality and dishonesty, if the parents have, this community believes that the same problem will be able to be transferred to their kids. Nora pleads with Torvald the second time, and she asks him to keep Krogstad's position so that he can be able to be in the bank. Remember what we said in the previous act, that Linde came in order to look for a job. And she came at a time when Torvald Helmer has been given to be the manager of the bank. And therefore, when Nora pleaded on behalf of Linde to be given a position because she was good in bookkeeping, Helmer actually allowed her, and he said, there is a chance for me to do something for you. So there is a coincidence here. The position Krogstad holds in the bank is the same position Torvald has actually organized for Linde. And the two of them had a previous relationship, as we'll be able to mention just here. So Torvald tells Nora that he cannot be able to keep this position to Krogstad. This is because we said Krogstad is somebody who is morally wrong. He is morally decayed. He forged a signature some times back, and he has not been tried in a court of law. And therefore, that problem haunts him, and that's why the society sees him as a problem and somebody who is not morally upright. The same way, we will be able to see Torvald does not want him to associate himself with Krogstad. They were classmates before, and anytime Torvald goes to the bank and he is in the midst of his staff and other friends, Krogstad gets excited because this is his former classmate, and he calls him old fella. That is a statement that Torvald actually detests. And when we were discussing the character traits, the characters previously, we said Torvald is a character who is interested so much in appearance. And that's why he does not want to associate himself with this. Besides, he calls for another reason, which is so much weird, when he says that if already the people in the bank, the staff know that I'm supposed to be replacing Krogstad. If I change my mind now, people will think that because of my wife's whining, then I have actually given in to her pressure. And it is weak for a man to listen to a woman and follow her decision. And then instantly, he tries to dismiss Krogstad. By writing a letter, he calls Helen, signs the letter and gives it to her, gives her the money, and then the letter is being sent to Krogstad. So at that particular instance, when Torvald has dismissed Krogstad, Nora has actually known that the problem is out of hand, and therefore there is nothing she can be able to do. Later, Dr. Rang enters, and he actually hints his death, because we said this guy has a problem. And both of them had a conversation. They talk about a coded language in the presence of Torvald. And when Torvald leaves, the two of them have an intimate discussion. Nora tries to actually entice him with a lot of words by showing him her silk stockings that she's going to put on tomorrow for this tarantella dance. But in the midst of that particular discussion, Dr. Rank gets excited. And as a result, he discloses the love he has for her. So he was a family friend coming to this particular family instantly, but he had an admiration and affection towards Nora, who is already married to Torvald, and Torvald was his friend. That attempt to actually portray his love for Nora made Nora not to ask him a favor, because instantly when she was talking to him, she wanted to ask him for a help about Krogstad. Maybe two things: to talk to Torvald so that he can be able to stop dismissing Krogstad, or two, Dr. Rang can be able to give her the money that actually Krogstad owes so that she can be able to pay him and she goes through this problem once and for all. Now, when Rank leaves, he drops two cards with black crosses on them. And these two cards realize, or they indicate, the impending death of Dr. Rang. So Nora talks to Dr. Rang. But later what happens is, after Rank has gone and Torvald has gone to his study room, Krogstad enters again, the second time. This time round, he comes with the information that he has been fired because he received the letter that was sent by by Torvald. Now, he threatens Nora and leaves a letter for Torvald. He tells her that you have refused to influence your husband on my position. And he blackmails her and tells her, this time round, not only do I want to keep my position, but I want a higher chance, a higher opportunity in the bank. Because for now, he has the power with himself that Nora has forged her signature, and therefore that is going to incriminate her husband as well. So Nora informs Miss Linde of the problems and the letter of Krogstad. It is at this particular moment that actually Linde has understood that the person who gave her the money was Krogstad. So Linde promises to help her by talking to Krogstad. She tries to go to him, and when she goes to his house, he's not there. He has traveled, and he's about to come back the following day. So she leaves for him a note, and by leaving him a note, she comes back. When she comes back, she realizes that Nora and Krogstad are having a discussion, and she talks to Nora, and she tells her that Krogstad is not around, and therefore he's going to come back the following day. We will be able to talk to him. But what you ought to do is, you have to keep your husband. You have to keep your husband from reading this particular letter. Because as we speak, the letter that contains the detailed information of how Nora borrowed the money, how she has forged her signature, and how the details of that particular money was used to cure Torvald abroad, actually is detailed in that particular letter. So that ends in Act 2. Act 2. Act 3. In Act 3, Linde sits in Helma's house. And by sitting in Helma's house, she's waiting for Krogstad because she has already written for him the previous day that she will wait for him tomorrow. When he comes in, they exchange greetings. And he tells her that she tells him that they have a great deal to discuss, a lot to talk about. Remember what we said previously, that the two of them had a previous relationship. They were in love. And therefore, there was circumstance that has actually made Linde to forsake this particular love and leave Krogstad for a better man, a man who is rich. We said Christine, Linde, had her mother who was bedridden, who was sick. She had two brothers whom she wanted to take care of. And as a result of that particular responsibility, she wanted somebody who can be able to help her financially take care of her family. Look at this, is the responsibility women go through. The same way we see the responsibility of Nora trying to cure her own husband from death, and later the good word that she has done is the one that haunts her actually by being blackmailed and her husband not supporting her. So Miss Linde had a romantic relationship with Krogstad earlier, as we said. Linde married a rich man. And she married this particular rich man because she wanted to take care of her mother who was sick and her two brothers. Now, Linde tells Krogstad that his letter is in the letterbox, that both of them talk about, and he asks her why she left him. And then she said, your prospects proved nothing by then, because I wanted something and your prospects proved nothing because you delayed so much, and that's why I had to move. But the most important thing is that she says, I did not do that out of love. I did that out of necessity and sacrifice for my family. And then Krogstad tries to blame her. He tells her that now I am a shipwrecked man who is actually holding on to some wreckage, that there is nothing left of me, as you can be able to see. And therefore, because of you, I have gone into a downhole that perhaps I'll not be able to go out forever in my life. She pleads with him. She also informs him, interestingly, of how hard life has been for her, the years that they have been separated. She says by now, her mother is already dead. Her two brothers have got their own situations and they can manage themselves. Her husband has died and he left her nothing. And now she has come to the city in order to look for a job. And then she tells him that I am also somebody who is empty in my life. I have no family to take care of. I have no family and no home to bring comfort into. I have no children to bring up. You have kids. You don't have wife. And therefore you need life. How about the two of us who are shipwrecked people who actually hold on some wreckage together? How about we join our horses together and we become one so that we can be able to actually share the life and be prosperous people again? That information excites Krogstad because conspicuously speaking, his life is empty and so is hers. And therefore the two of them try to mend their own things and they form a new bond. So you can be able to imagine this family was disintegrated earlier, but now they are coming together and forming a bond. Now, as they are having this particular conversation, the Helmers are in the upstairs because earlier in Act 2, Linde advised Nora to keep her husband from accessing the letterbox so that he cannot be able to read the letter until she talks to Krogstad. And therefore, they are upstairs. When they are upstairs and they are having this particular discussion, and she's practicing with her husband, the tarantella, Nora dances so wildly and so confusedly. That is a realization of the problem she's going through. And perhaps this is a way of also relieving off her stress and a way of keeping her husband away from the letterbox. And she says, in fact, I have 31 hours to live. This 31 hours indicates that today, this is tonight, 7 hours, and tomorrow, 24 hours. The 31 hours to live before Krogstad reads the letter, and maybe because I go for good. Now, the Helmers come down they come from downstairs. When Linde tells Krogstad that your letter lies in the letterbox, Krogstad doubts her intention and her audacity to come to him and talk to him. And he blames her that maybe she wanted to save her own friend. But she tells him, the first time I came to your house, my intention was to save her. But now, I don't want to do that anymore. And she makes a decision. She makes this particular decision based on the fact that there is a lot of misconceptions and a lot of deceit and lies in the family of Nora's, in the family of the Helmers. And therefore, what she wants is, she says, her reason for her to actually make this particular community see, make this particular family see the problem that lies between them supersedes the responsibility to support and hide the secrets of her friend Nora. And she advises Torvald not to take his letter back. Even when Torvald actually suggests and says, now I am happy because I have never had an opportunity and a happy full of life and day like I have today, when he says, because he has reunited with his former love. And when he tells her that I want to go and retrieve the letter, she advises him, don't retrieve the letter. Let Torvald read the letter. Let the two of them lay bare this lies and deceit that lies between them. So Torvald suggests that something strange has happened to Nora. And therefore, as a result of that, when they come from the downstairs, upstairs in dancing, he tries to talk to Nora. This time round, he has so much sexual urge for her, and he wants to take her to bed and enjoy with her. But Nora is not in it. She does not want this. She does not feel at this particular moment. And that is why she tells him, don't look at me like that. She wants to keep him at bay. But he has owned her. And because he has owned her, he wants to use her, and he does not consider her interest and what she feels at this particular moment, because she is always a second thought or an afterthought for Torvald, because he always thinks himself. Now, Torvald later tries to actually fondle with her and play with her. And he tells her, by going ahead, when he wants to have her, that suppose if something strange happens to you today, I wish something strange happens to you today, so that I can be able to sacrifice myself on your behalf. This is irony. This is a bubble irony. Because when the reality comes and he is given an opportunity to support his wife and perhaps thank her because she saved his life, he goes wild and abuses her, calling her all sorts of names. So Torvald retrieves the mail. He retrieves the mail because at that particular moment, Nora has already given up, that there is no hope, there is no way out than facing this particular situation head on. So she tells him, go read your mails. She goes and changes her clothes, and Torvald goes to the mailbox. While going to the mailbox, in trying to open the mailbox, the only person who has the key to the mailbox is Torvald. He tries to open, but he sees that the key or the opening place is actually blocked with a pin, a hairpin. So he tries to struggle with it, gets out the pin, and it happens to be one of Nora's hairpin. He asks her, who has been tampering with the lock? And then she says, perhaps it's the children. So he tells her, next time you need to get away the kids from here. She is lying. She was the one who was trying to open so that she can be able to get rid of that particular letter that had the detailed information about her forgery. Now, Torvald reads Krogstad's letter. Before he reads Krogstad's letter, he gets the 2 cards of Dr. Rank, because he just placed them when he was going out. These 2 cards have a cross, a black cross on them, suggesting or indicating the death of Torvald. So they discuss the death of Dr. Rank. And then they say, this is a family friend, he has been good, but however, Torvald is comfortable with it that he goes for good. The only person who sympathizes with him seems to be Nora. So he reads Krogstad's letter. In the process of him going into his study room and reading Krogstad's letter, Nora contemplates committing suicide. She gets her own things, gathers herself, she's standing nearby the door, she wants to go out and commit suicide. But before she steps outside, Torvald comes out of his study room having the letter in his hand. And then he asks her, is this that I read here true? Did you do this? What have you done? He tries to blame her. He calls her all sorts of names. Nora tries to confess everything. And then she says, yes, I did this. I did this out of love. You are sick. I had no option. And therefore, the only way to save you was that. I did this out of love. And then he tries to demoon her by trying to tell her, shut up. He doesn't give her an opportunity to talk. He calls her a hypocrite, calls her a liar and a criminal. He doesn't give her a chance to talk and say her things. And he blames her for saying that now I am at the mercy of Krogstad because he can do anything he wants with me. And he tries to suggest that we can be able to appeal to him and do whatever Krogstad likes at this particular moment. So at that particular juncture, Nora stands and Torvald tries to actually talk about himself, his dignity and his appearance, with paying little interest to what Nora feels. And then at that particular instance, the maid comes in from the door with a letter carrying in her hand. And then she says, a letter for Mom. This is letter for Nora. This letter is the second letter from Krogstad. The first letter contained a detailed information of how she borrowed the loan, how she committed forgery, and how that loan has actually been used to cure Krogstad. And that loan has not yet been paid. That was an information that was given to Torvald. This second letter that comes is a letter of forgiveness from Krogstad, surprisingly. This letter forgives both Nora and Torvald, that he's not going to take any legal action against them, and he even brings, with that particular letter, the bond that contained the agreement and the forged signature of her father. Previously, we mentioned a little bit about how she forged this document. This bond was a bond that was trying to secure this particular loan. And Krogstad is the one who drafted the bond. He gives Nora to sign, and therefore, her father becomes the security or the grantor of this particular loan. So instantly, ultimately, her father was the one who was supposed to be signing, but her father was sick when her husband was sick, coincidentally. And as a result of that, she could not be able to have the time to go and talk to her father, convince him, or most importantly, her father wouldn't have even allowed her, because a woman is not supposed to be engaging herself in financial transactions. And that's why she did not be able to make the move. So she committed the forgery because her father died on 29th of September, as we mentioned previously, and she signed this document on 2nd of October, 3 days later. Now, at that particular moment, when he gets the letter, this letter contains forgiveness. She says, I am saved. It's Helma saying, I am saved. He's not talking about her. When he talks about I am saved, it's over. Everything is okay now. Nora asks him, what about me? Am I also forgiven? That letter, does it contain for me also that I am also free? And then he says, yeah, also free. You're also free that you have been forgiven. At that particular moment, Torvald, who was so angry about the whole of the situation, tries to calm down, tries to bury everything under the blanket, and tries to forgive Nora. By forgiving Nora, he has forgotten all the names he has called her. What was Nora expecting? In a normal situation, when somebody has made sacrifices for you, you need to appreciate them. You need to thank them. However, this gentleman has not done that. When he was given the opportunity, what he did best was what? Abuse her, blame her because of societal norms. And he has forgotten that the person who actually helped him get cured, and perhaps today he is alive, is courtesy of his wife. So that is the realization that Nora has made. From this particular moment, Nora changes from a character who is so much social and a submissive character to Torvald to a character who is independent, who makes her own decisions. And then she makes her decision. She talks to him. She looks at him weirdly as he says that I have forgiven you. There is nothing that lies or so important for a man to forgive his wife and to know at the same time that she is his wife and his kid at the same time because of the because of the dependence she had earlier on him. But now she makes a decision. So she calls him and she asks him, Torvald, Helma, you and I have a lot to discuss today because we have never had a face-to-face discussion, an objective discussion that will be able to actually have objective kind of resolution. So we never had the 8 years of discussion, we never had talked to each other, you and I, independently. So she tells him to sit down. That's an instruction she gives him. And she gives him the second instruction by shutting up and not interrupting her as she talks. This is a bold character who changes. In fact, one of things of characterization that we learn about characters is their development in the text. How does a character develop from the start of the book to the end of the book? So Nora was very submissive. She was young, always obeying her husband, who was treated like a doll, but now she has made that particular decision. She has made that particular decision. So she talks to him and she tells him from now onwards, I am the one who is going to make the decisions that are more important to me. Let me a little bit go back. When he has read the letter and got the content, he actually told her, now what is left between us is only the appearance. You are not leaving this house. You will remain the house as you are for appearance sake in the public sphere. But when it comes to down us within the house, there is no relationship that we will share. Number two, he tells her you cannot be able to have access to the kids because I dare not trust them with you. Because you will be able to actually transfer your bad culture and immorality to the kids. So when she tells him to sit down, she talks deep from the bottom of her heart. And then she says, when I was young, you and my father have treated me like a child. When I was with Papa, I was like his doll. Now that I have actually happened in societies, it's normal. And this is what makes the play so relevant up to today as we speak. So at this particular juncture, what we have only done is a summary of the book from Act 1, 2, and 3. So in the next lesson, inshallah, we will be able to discuss the thematic concerns of the text, the characterization, and the stylistic devices that the book has used or the writer has used in order to communicate the message very vividly. I will wish to conclude in saying the following, that number one, women have made some sacrifices in this book. Miss Linde made the sacrifice by living her own love life and trying to take care of her mother who was sick and her two brothers. She is struggling in order to keep that particular family alive. Nora has made that particular sacrifice of borrowing a loan even when the norms did not dictate. Look at this. If you have a situation and that particular situation can only be done through unlawful means at that particular moment, but by the law of nature, the universal nature of law accepts that, but it is through the community of prejudices of communities that actually hinders these women to do this task. She has gone that particular level of borrowing the loan and saving her husband's life. So she even questions the law that dictates women cannot be able to do such kind of acts by borrowing money or having financial transactions or by not allowing them to work. And as a result of that, she says, the law that does not allow a woman to save her husband is not a law. That is a law that is sick, and therefore it needs to be changed. And that is why she has made the decision to leave this kind of confinement of a cage that Torvald has put her in for 8 years. And her father has actually been putting her since her childhood, and she wants to go to realize herself and see that we're able to make a decision. I will wish to leave you with a question. Please discuss this question. How does the play criticize male chauvinism? Question 1. How does the play criticize male chauvinism? Male chauvinism. Number 2, discuss the relationship between the Helmas and that of Linde and Krogstad. That of Linde and Krogstad. Wish to end the lesson there. I wish you Ramadan Mubarak, inshallah, and hope to see you again. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.